Captain Jack Ryan did not like surprises. He liked orders, rules, and clear missions. But this mission was different. He stood on the main deck of the Earthfell Traxxas Alliance cruiser. Watching stars float by through the window, he had served in 3 wars, survived deadly planets, and fought monsters with acid for blood. But now, they had assigned him to guard a spoiled alien princess babysitting, he muttered. Looking at the file in his hands, name, Princess Serena of Veltraxxas's age, 22 Earth years, status, royal heir. Diplomatic guest, rebellious behavior. The door opened behind him. She's on board, said Commander Lee, handing over a security tablet, and she's already asking for you. Jack sighed and headed to the VIP quarters. He wasn't ready for what he saw. Serena was not dressed like royalty. She wore a short silver dress and glowing wristbands, sitting cross-legged on a floating chair. Her skin was soft violet. Her long hair shimmered like starlight, and her golden eyes locked on his. You must be my new bodyguard, she said with a playful smile. Earth boys are cuter than I expected. Jack didn't smile. I'm here for your protection, princess, not for games. Serena stood up slowly and walked close. Too close. Lighten up, Captain, she whispered. I don't bite, unless you ask nicely. Jack didn't respond. He just turned and scanned the room for hidden threats. She laughed behind him, enjoying the silence. Hours passed, and Jack followed her like a shadow through the ship's garden deck, the music hall, even the observation bubble. Everywhere she went, she smiled and flirted. Every time, Jack stayed silent. Cold, professional, but she wasn't stupid. She knew he was watching her, not just to protect her, but to study her. And she was studying him, too. Later that night, something strange happened. Jack was watching the monitors when a silent alarm flashed. Sector 9. Restricted energy chamber. He ran fast. That part of the ship was off limits, even to royalty. He entered the chamber and stopped. Serena was standing in front of a glowing orb, her hand hovering above it. The orb was ancient, floating inside a crystal frame. Its light pulsed like a heartbeat, changing colors. Princess Jack said firmly, "Step away from that." But she didn't move. She was staring into the orb eyes. Wide body frozen, the room was filled with soft humming, like a song only she could hear. I saw something, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. I saw a child. Jack lowered his weapon, confused. A child. Serena turned to face him, her eyes glowing faintly now. Yes, a baby, with my eyes. And your face. Jack's chest tightened. This is some kind of trick, he said, more to himself. No, she said, stepping forward. This orb shows true fates, our possible futures, or maybe our destiny. He didn't believe in magic, but something about her voice, about the way the orb reacted, made him pause. What did you see exactly? He asked, voice low. Serena tilted her head, that playful smile returning. You holding me, calling me trouble, me calling you Captain Serious, and a baby crying between us. Jack felt his face grow warm. This is nonsense, he said, turning to leave, but before he could walk away, she grabbed his hand. The orb flashed bright and white. Just for a second, Serena gasped. You saw it too, didn't you? Jack pulled his hand back. Stay away from that thing, he growled. Next time I report you. He walked away quickly. But his heart was racing. Behind him, Serena stood in the glow of the orb, smiling like she knew something he didn't. As the doors closed behind him, Jack muttered, this is not a normal mission, and far above them. In the deepest part of space, someone else was watching the orb too. A shadow moved in silence, whispering, protect the princess, or destroy the future. Asterisk, Captain. Jack thought the worst was over. He had seen the glowing orb, heard the strange vision, and told himself to forget it. But Princess Irina had other plans. The next morning, she wore a red silk cloak that shimmered with alien dust. Her hair was braided in gold, and her eyes sparkled like fire. Everyone on the ship stared, but Jack stayed still, arms crossed. "You didn't say good morning, Captain," she said, pouting like a child. "I don't talk to rule breakers." Jack replied. She smiled, enjoying the challenge. The ship had docked at Warna Station, a space hub filled with ambassadors, traders, and spies. Zarina was here to represent Veltraxis in the Peace Gala, but she had no interest in politics. She had eyes only for one thing, or rather one person, her human guard. As Jack escorted her through the marble halls of the station, she whispered, "I can feel people watching us." "They're not watching us," Jack replied. "They're watching you." She stopped, turned, and asked softly, "Then why are you always watching me?" Jack didn't answer. He scanned the crowd, noticed movement near the upper balcony. A figure in black turned away quickly, disappearing behind the curtains. Something was wrong that night back on the ship. Zarina disappeared again. Jack tracked her to the Hala Garden. She was sitting by the artificial waterfall, barefoot, singing a song in her language. "You have a problem with rules." "Princess," he said, from the shadows. "I have a problem with cages," she replied, without turning around. He walked closer. "You're not in a cage. You're under protection." "Is there a difference?" she asked, looking up at him. "When I can't even choose who I trust." Jack stared at her for a moment. Her voice was softer tonight, sadder. Before he could speak, a sharp sound broke the silence. A laser bolt hit the rock near Zarina's head. Jack pulled her down instantly, drawing his weapon. He saw a shadow moving near the air duct, aimed and fired, but the figure escaped. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Later, in the security room, Zarina sat wrapped in a blanket. "You saved me," she said quietly. "It's my job," Jack replied, typing into the system. "I thought I was just a joke to you," she whispered. "I thought so too," Jack said, eyes still on the screen. There was silence. Then she stood, walked over, and kissed his cheek. "You're more than just a bodyguard to me," she said. Then walked out. Jack sat frozen for a moment, then looked back at the camera feed. Rewinding the attack, he paused the frame. Zoomed in on the attacker. What he saw made his blood run cold. The assassin's face was hidden, but on the attacker's wrist was a bracelet, glowing violet. It was the Royal Guard bracelet, worn only by Zarina's family. Was someone in her own house trying to kill her? Captain Jack couldn't sleep. His eyes kept replaying the image of the assassin's wrist. The violet royal bracelet. Why would someone from Zarina's own bloodline try to kill her? And why now? He needed answers, so he did something he wasn't supposed to do. He hacked into Zarina's private movement logs, tracked her steps for the past 7 nights. They all led to the same location. Deck 13, a level marked under maintenance for years. He grabbed his blaster and headed down in silence. The hallway lights flickered as if the ship itself didn't want him there. He reached a sealed door, melted the lock with his plasma cutter, and stepped inside. It was a massive hidden chamber. Dark stone walls covered in glowing alien symbols. The air smelled ancient like dust and starlight. In the center was the orb again, brighter than before, pulsing like a heartbeat. But he wasn't alone. Zarina stood barefoot in front of it, wearing a ceremonial robe made of light. She didn't turn when he entered. She only whispered, "You found me. What is this place?" Jack asked, eyes scanning the strange runes. "My mother's secret," Zarina said softly. "She was never allowed to tell anyone, not even my father." Jack stepped closer. The orb reacted, glowing a soft blue. Zarina touched its surface. and the walls came alive with moving images. He saw ancient Veltraxian queens holding human infants. He saw DNA strands weaving together human and alien. He saw two bloodlines that were never meant to mix, but did anyway. Over and over, in secret, this chamber records forbidden unions. Zarina said, "My people always said humans were lesser. But the truth is hidden here." Jack watched as one final image appeared. A shadowed woman giving birth in a cryopod, surrounded by guards. "She looks like you." Jack whispered. "She was me," Zarina said, her voice shaking. "That's how I was born." Jack turned to her in shock. "You're already part human?" Zarina nodded slowly. "My mother fell in love with a human ambassador, but the council erased his name, his records, even his face. She was forced to marry the emperor and lie to everyone." Jack's head spun. Everything he thought he knew, every report, every mission detail was wrong. "Why show me this?" he asked. Zarina stepped closer, her hand brushing his chest. "Because the orb shows truth," she said, "and you. You're part of mine now." Jack tried to stay calm. "Zarina, this isn't safe. Someone tried to kill you. Someone. From your house." Zarina looked down, pain in her eyes. "I know who it was," she whispered. Jack stiffened. "Who?" "My uncle, Lord Vexer," she said. "He always hated my mother. Always feared her secret would rise again if I carry a hybrid child. It threatens his claim to the throne." Jack's heart sank. "This is bigger than I thought." Zarina looked up at him, her eyes glowing softly in the orb's light. "Captain," she said, "if we leave now, we can hide. Go to one of the outer colonies, live in peace." Jack shook his head. "You can't run from this, not forever." The orb pulsed between them. A soft hum filled the room. Like a lullaby from another world, Zarina leaned in, her voice a whisper. "Then fight with me, Jack, not just as a guard, but as something more." Jack said nothing, but he didn't pull away either. Far above, in the command center, Lord Vexer watched the hidden feed from Deck 13. He crushed the glass in his hand and said coldly, "Prepare the hunter ships. The princess has made her choice." Captain Jack stood at the edge of something dangerous. He wasn't just protecting a royal guest anymore. He was guarding a secret one that could shake 2 planets. A secret growing inside Zarina. He kept telling himself to stay professional, but every moment he spent with her made that harder. Her eyes, her touch, her truth, they were no longer just a mission. And somewhere in the dark halls of the ship, betrayal waited. Zarina walked with him through the diplomatic wing. She smiled and waved at foreign leaders, acting like nothing had changed, but Jack could feel it in the air. The way the guards looked at her, the silence behind smiles. Someone had told them that night. Jack reviewed a restricted message intercepted by the ship's AI. The subject line made his stomach twist. "Terminate the guard. Prevent conception." His face went pale. They knew, and they were ready to kill him, or worse. Zarina, he checked the message source, encrypted, but one name popped up again and again. Lord Vexer, Zarina's uncle. Jack stormed into the strategy chamber where Commander Lee stood alone. "I need to speak with the council," Jack said. Lee looked uneasy. "You've been removed from her protection detail," he replied. Jack's hand balled into a fist. "On whose order?" Lee hesitated, then said, "Vexer." Jack didn't wait. He turned and ran toward Zarina's chamber, but when he arrived, she was gone. Her room was dark. Her bracelet left behind on the floor. The orb chamber, that's where she would be. He sprinted through the corridors past confused guards. He reached Deck 13 just as the door slid open. Zarina stood frozen inside, and next to her was Vexer. "Jack," she said, her voice shaking. Vexer turned slowly. The elder royal wore a black cloak, lined with crimson, His eyes were cold, his smile cruel. "So," Vexor said, "you're the insect who dares pollute royal blood." Jack aimed his blaster. Zirena stepped between them. "Stop it," she shouted. "He didn't force anything. I chose him." Vexor's smile faded. "You've always been reckless, Zirena," he hissed. "But this time, your mistake carries consequences." He raised a device. Pressing a button, instantly, pain shot through Zirena's body. She fell to her knees. Gasping, Jack fired the shot, blasted the device from Vexor's hand. Vexor stumbled back, bleeding. "You think this ends here?" he snarled. "I've already informed the Emperor." Jack lifted Zirena into his arms. "We have to go," he said. She nodded weakly. "Then take me far away." Jack, alarms echoed across the ship. Security systems were shutting down. Lights, flickering red, on every monitor, a warning appeared. "Royal Trader detected hybrid blood, confirmed, terminate." Zirena looked up at Jack with fear in her eyes. "They've activated the protocol," she said. "What protocol?" he asked. She swallowed hard. "One that kills us both." Jack ran with Zirena in his arms. Behind him, alarms screamed. Doors slammed shut. And the voice of the ship's AI repeated the same message. "Terminate the hybrid seed. Eliminate." The threat to the bloodline. They didn't make it to the hangar. Instead, Jack found a small maintenance shaft that led to the old observatory dome. The place was abandoned, forgotten by the crew, filled with dust and broken panels. But it had one thing he needed: silence. He set Zirena down gently on an old metal bench. She was pale, trembling, her skin flickering between violet and human tones. "He had never seen anything like it, Zirena," he whispered, wiping sweat from her forehead. Her eyes opened slowly. "I can feel it," she said softly. "Something inside me is changing." Jack knelt beside her. "We need to get you off this ship." Zirena touched his hand, holding it tightly. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Not of them, but of this thing growing in me." He didn't know what to say. So he held her hand and said the only thing he could. "I won't let anything happen to you." They sat in silence for a long moment. Stars drifted across the glass dome above them. Zirena closed her eyes. And the orb's energy, even from far away, began to hum again. Suddenly, Zirena gasped and sat up straight. The orb's voice echoed in her mind. But Jack could hear it too this time. It wasn't a sound, but a feeling. The bond is sealed. The child is marked. The war begins now. Zirena looked at Jack in horror. The orb just confirmed it. She said, "I'm pregnant." Jack felt his chest tighten, not out of fear, but out of a fierce, sudden need to protect her. "Protect them. You're not alone," he said firmly. "Not now, not ever." Zirena leaned forward and kissed him, not teasingly. Not like before, but softly, with shaking lips and hidden fire. The bond between them wasn't just love, it was war now. A sudden boom shook the walls. Jack pulled away, grabbing his blaster. "They found us," he said, outside the dome. Lord Vexor's private soldiers, the Shadow Guard, moved like ghosts through the corridors. Their weapons were silent. Their orders were not to capture, but to cleanse. Jack activated the emergency hatch controls. A secondary exit opened into a forgotten escape pod tunnel. He helped Zirena to her feet, but she stumbled. Her body was changing again, faster now, like her DNA was rewriting itself in real time. She clutched her stomach and whispered, "It's not just a baby, Jack. It's a signal. Something is calling to it." Jack stared at her. "What do you mean?" Zirena's eyes flared bright gold. I think it's waking something ancient. Something Veltraxian blood locked away, suddenly. Her skin lit with glowing marks, the same alien runes from the secret chamber. And just for a second, the ship's systems all shut down. Every light, every screen, Every camera went black. The child hadn't even been born. But already, it was sending a message. Zarina looked up at Jack with fear and hope in her voice. "I don't know what's inside me," she whispered. "But it's ours, and it's powerful." Jack pulled her close, holding her tight. "Then we protect it," he said. Together, outside, the Shadow Guard loaded their weapons. Inside, the forbidden bond was no longer a secret. It was a revolution waiting to begin. Asterisk, the escape pod launched in silence. There were no explosions, no alarms, just darkness. Cold space and a quiet hum. Jack gripped the controls, sweat on his brow. Eyes locked on the nav screen. Zarina lay beside him, breathing heavy, her skin glowing dimly in pulses. Each pulse matched the beat of something new growing inside her. Not just a baby, but something ancient, something unknown. They had no destination, no clearance, no allies, just a stolen pod, one hidden frequency, and one rule: don't get caught behind them. The Emperor's fleet moved like shadows, tracking, scanning, chasing without speaking. Because this wasn't a rescue mission, it was a hunt. Jack flew low across the rings of planet Vela, then dove into an old asteroid mining route. He switched off the pod's beacon, turned off life support systems for 20 seconds. Just enough to vanish. Zarina gasped, but nodded. She understood the risk. They docked at an abandoned moon station, covered in vines and frost. Inside, they found an old medical AI unit still running, flickering. Jack helped Zarina lie down on the cold scan table. The AI scanned her slowly, lights blinking red, then orange. Then something strange happened. Hybrid confirmed. The AI said in a broken voice, "Pattern matches Forbidden Code Omega." Jack frowned. "What's Forbidden Code Omega?" The screen showed a symbol neither of them had seen: a spiral within a spiral. Zarina sat up, her hands on her stomach. "I've seen that in the old chamber walls," she whispered. "It's the mark of the first line, the original. Rulers of Veltraxis, before the council erased them." The AI spoke again, glitching child's DNA. "Active sending quantum echo." Jack stood still. "What's it echoing to?" Outside the station, deep beneath the moon's surface, something stirred. Old machines, long buried and forgotten, began to power on. Somewhere far away, ships in hidden systems received a signal, the same spiral. Flashing red, they weren't just running anymore. They were waking up enemies, and allies that history had erased. Zarina looked at Jack, her face pale, but her eyes clear. "This child isn't just mine," she said slowly. "It's a key, Jack, to history, to power, maybe to war." Jack didn't flinch. "We'll protect it," he said, "no matter what comes." But even he didn't know what was coming, because back on the capital world of Veltraxis, the Emperor sat in silence, watching ancient recordings come to life. His advisors panicked, shouting about bloodlines, curses, prophecy. But the Emperor raised his hand, and they all fell silent. "Activate the cryonites," he said quietly. "If the child is real, the old blood returns, and old blood must be erased." The galaxy was no longer quiet. Across the stars, strange signals echoed, spirals within spirals, waking machines, minds, and memories that time had tried to bury. In the dark edge of space, inside a broken moon station, Jack watched Zarina glow like a living sun. She no longer looked like a princess. She looked like a beginning. Her child, their child, was changing everything. The AI confirmed it again. DNA complete. Psychic barrier forming. Telepathic shield engaged. Even the station itself began to shift. Metal bending toward her like it remembered her blood. Jack helped her to her feet. "We can't hide anymore," he said. Zarina nodded. "Then, let's burn the lie." They sent a single transmission. No encryption, no tricks, just truth. Zarina stood in front of the camera, hand on her belly. She spoke not as royalty, not as a fugitive, but as Zarina, this child is mine, and his father is human. She said calmly, if that offends you, destroy me. But know this, we are not your shame. We are your future. The message traveled fast, across battle cruisers, mining worlds, science stations, and hidden royal bunkers. Some wept, some roared, and some loaded weapons on Earth. People protested outside the Unity Council, demanding peace and protection on Veltraxis. Half the royal fleet stood down, refusing to fire on their true heir. But others did not hesitate. The Cryonites launched ancient warriors, frozen for 1,000 years, bred to erase bloodlines and silence rebellion. They headed for the moon station, fast and silent. Jack and Zarina had no army. Number fleet, no defense, only a signal, a baby, and one choice left, inside the station. Jack placed his hand on the last control lever. Once I pull this, he said, the power core goes nova. No one can land safely for hours. You'll be trapped with me, Zarina said softly. I was trapped the moment I met you, Jack whispered, then smiled, and I never wanted to leave. The cryoships entered the moon's gravity. Closing in, Jack pulled the lever. The entire station lit up in a burning pulse. Fire, memory, history, and hope all wrapped into one. As the flames rose, Zarina held Jack's hand. The baby inside her glowed softly, peacefully, and for the first time, the galaxy didn't feel like a war zone. It felt like a rebirth. Hours later, from a hidden distance, resistance fighters watched the moon glow like a dying star. No ships survived landing. No signals came out. But some say they saw a figure walking through the fire. A woman with golden eyes, holding a child that didn't cry. A child that hummed. On Veltraxis, the Emperor vanished. No body, no farewell. Only his crown placed on the steps of the old palace. And written in flame across the marble floor were the words, she played with fire. And yes, it burned. But from the ashes, she rose.